Okay, welcome everyone. Wonderful to have everybody join us as we are sponsored by Shalom Fogel, Nishmas Yaakov Zev ben Yehuda Aryeh, Rivka Bas Yaakov Yosef, Tzivya Miriam Bas God, Yosef ben Tzim ben Yaakov Zev, by Baruch Ian, Nishmas Yaakov Chaim ben Abba, Esther Bas Gittel, I think that's Esther Bas Yona, Avram ben Shmuel HaKohen, by Yaakov Yamansky, with Akar Tov to the Rav and the Zoom family, and Nachas from children and grandchildren by A.B. Spry from Nachas from children and grandchildren, Ed Salah from London, and Joshua Rosenberg, a virtual Talmud. And we learned the for Shalema for Chaya Rezel Bas Yocheved, and Michal Avram Chavin's wife is going in for a procedure tomorrow, so we'll learn for Shira Bas Sari Menu, and we will learn for Rafal Yeshua ben Brindel. We are holding on the bottom, although Marshall later on finished it off, but I wasn't by his share, so
you missed the scene. I served hot dogs and bourbon.
So we are starting from Meisvei, 2 lines from the bottom of Daf Kuf Mem Amid Beis. Meisvei, 2 lines from the bottom of Kuf Mem Amid Beis. And we welcome in Mel Zachter, Yisrael Fisher, Saba, Aaron Swade, Shalom Fogel, Marshall Castle, Mark Frankel, Stephen Holtzman, Reuven Pollack, Shelley Zeitlin, Dr. Guy, Shimon Klein, Irving Fishbaum, Nachman Chapler. Nachman, you should know how much we miss you over here. We really hope that you get back soon.
I wish it was in my hands.
What?
Wish it was in my hands.
Well, the Rabbeinu Shalom, who is Kol Yachol, should get you here soon. Berish Gesserman, Yitzi Fuchs, Dr. Black, Itchy Weintraub, Abe Arbach and son. Welcome. Yitzi Muller, Ilya Shutman, Naftali Jablin, Yeshua Shmuel Eisenberg, Avram Rezepkowitz, David Helfgott on Kolosh. Here in the shul we have Gedalia Engel, Chaim Kramer, Rich Leonard, and Reuven Shannet. Okay, so Gemara now says Meisvei. Tumtum Yoreish Keben, a tumtum inherits like a boy, V'nizayin Kabas, and gets mezainis like a girl. Now, Bishlam il Rava, who says that if there's nechasim merubim, there's a large estate, the tumtum gets pushed like a daughter and gets supported like a daughter. So Bishlam il Rava, Yoresh Keben, that's b'nechasim muatim, when there's very little, so it goes all to the girl, and since he might be a boy, therefore he is like a boy that has to go out and beg. V'niza in kabas, and is supported like a girl. That means that if there's nechasim merubim, then he doesn't get, like the boy, most of the bulk of the estate, but only gets support, b'nechasim merubim. But according to Abaya, who said that even if it's nechasim mu'atin, the boys push to the girls, and the girls say, maybe you're buried b'fnei atzma, and she doesn't even get support. El Abaya, my knees in kabas. What does it mean that she's supported like a girl? He said that he's right to be supported, but she doesn't even get like a girl. So the Gemara says, yeah, well, ulitamech l'rava, my Yorish Keben. What does it mean that he inherits like a son? If it's nechasim muatin, then the sons go out and beg. So what does it mean that the tumtum is Yorish like a son? Elul roy Yorish, he would be fit to be Yorish, but he doesn't get so because his support goes to the daughter. The Einlai, Hachanami roy lazain, it would fit to get mezainis if he was a girl. But he doesn't get the mezainis according to Abaya because he might be a barrier b'fnei atzma. Now, ha'omer im yolda ishta zacher, if he says if my wife has a boy, if my wife has a boy, then the child should get 100. If it's a girl, then the child should get 200. It seems to be that it would be preferred to have a girl. That's strange. A boy, the father gets a chance to do the mitzvah of bris milah. He can teach him Torah. Lememra de basa difale mi ben. Does that imply that a daughter is more than a son? I v'amar Rabbi Yochanan mishum Reb Shimon Yochai kol she'ena maniach ben liyarshay. Whoever doesn't leave his son to inherit him, HaKadosh Baruch Hu malei alav evra. Hashem is angry at him. Of course, this is talking about somebody that doesn't try. Shenema va'avartem es nachalosei lebita. In ben ein lo, if there's no son, then the inheritance is passed to the daughter. And it uses a lashon of evra. Havartem is a lashon of anger. Ve'ein havara ela evra. Shenema yoim evra hayoim ahu. It's a day of anger that day. That's the day when a person goes to Gehenna. It's a day of anger. Says the Gemara, you're right. L'inyan nerusha, when it's a question of inheritance, ben odiflei, a son is superior, because if a son inherits, it stays in the parental mishpacha. It stays in the family name. If a girl inherits, then it passes over to another family. But l'inyan arvacha, but in regard to giving more support, bitay adifale, the girl needs more support, because especially in the olden days, the girl didn't have a way to support herself. So therefore, if he's going to provide support, he's going to provide it to the girl over the boy. V'shmuel Amar, Shmuel says, here it's talking about the firstborn. V'shmuel Amar hacha b'mevakeres askinan. We're talking about a firstborn. Ukid Rav Chisda. The Amar Rav Chisda, bas tchila, having a daughter as the first child, siman yafa labanim, is a good sign for the children. Now what does that mean? And therefore that's why he says, if my first child is a girl, I'll give 200. Now why is a daughter first a good sign for the children? Because she helps raise her brothers. In other words, if there's a girl first, so then the mother will have assistance from this girl to help raise the family. And others say that the parents won't get an ayin hara. A family that has a bunch of boys, people look enviously at them. But if the first child is a girl, so that mitigates the envy, and therefore there's no ayin hara. That's the way the Rashbam learns. Taisus learns differently. Taisus learns that if the first child is a bechar, then it will get a double portion, and the rest of the family will look enviously at that person. By having a girl first, that avoids the bechar from being targeted with an ayin hara. Amar Rav Chisda said, "Ulididi, for me, bunsin adifanli. Daughters are better for me mibnei than boys." Again, here the Rishonim say two pshatim in this. One pshat is that Rav Chisda lost sons; he buried sons, so his daughters turned out to be better than the sons. The sons died prematurely. The other pshat is that from his daughters he had son-in-laws that were from the Gedolei Adar. So therefore, with the daughters, he was able to pick the creme de la creme of the Torah world for son-in-laws. V'iba Yasema, another pshat, why he would give 200 if he had a daughter, but 100 if he had a son. V'iba Yasema, Homani Rabbi Yehudi, it's Rabbi Yehuda. So the Gemara says, hey Rabbi Yehuda, which Rabbi Yehuda you're talking about? Ilay me Rabbi Yehuda the Bakol. It says Hashem Beirech es Avram Bakol. And the Tanya of Hashem Beirech es Avram Bakol with everything. Reb Meir said Shaloy Oyoloi Bas. He didn't have a daughter. Some say that in that time there was nobody to marry. There was nobody to marry. So what wouldn't have been good to have a daughter? Rabbi Yehuda Aimer Shahoy Saloi Bas. He had a daughter, Ubakol Shema. So you see, Rabbi Yehuda champions having a daughter. So the Gemara says that's no raya that the daughter is superior from a son. That Hashem gave him everything, even a girl. That it's superior than a son. We don't see from Rabbi Yehuda that a girl is better than a boy. It's the following Rabbi Yehuda. The Tanya, mitzvah lozoines habanos. It's a mitzvah to support girls. V'kal v'chaymer lebanim. There's no chiyuv once the child is over the age of 6. There's no chiyuv to support the child. But it's a mitzvah to support girls. V'kal v'chaymer lebanim de'askei b'Torah. And surely the sons, because they're learning Torah. Divrei Rameir. Rabbi Yehuda Amar mitzvah lazin es habanim. It's a mitzvah to support the boys. V'kal v'chaymer lebanos. And surely it's a mitzvah to support the daughters, the loylik tazlan, because kol kvuda bas melech pnima, the honor of a woman is to be tsanua, and for her to have to go out and beg, that would be a much greater indignity. So therefore, Rabbi Yehuda holds you give more to a daughter, and that's why it says over here that he said if it's a daughter, she get 200. Says the Gemara. Now, I just want to point out that I thought to myself another answer, and that is that it's talking about where he had already a boy. So here he wanted a girl to fulfill the mitzvah of Piri Verivya. So he said, if I have a boy, 100. But if I have a girl, so I fulfill the mitzvah of Piri Verivya, then it should be 200. But the Gemara doesn't answer that, and I think I once saw that even that they said over in the name of Rav Chaim that even if a person has 5 boys and no girls, he should still hope for another son. And this would be a riot to that the Gemara doesn't say that he wanted a girl in order to fulfill the mitzvah of Piri Verivya. Of course, in our minds, we should want a healthy child. It's very dangerous when somebody is disappointed about the sex of the child. It could hurt a wife who works so hard to have a child. It even could hurt the child itself if they say later on, yeah, Tati was upset, he wanted a boy. That's a very, very dangerous thing. And anyway, we always said, whenever we were expecting a child, Rabbeinu Shalom, we want a healthy mommy, healthy baby, and that's what we want, I will add that I had 2 boys and 4 girls, and the blessing of a girl is through the roof. Like they say, a son is a son, a son is a son until he meets his wife. A girl is a girl for life. A daughter is a daughter for life. And there's a lot of chokmah in that saying. Now, says the Gemara, Elahod Sanya, that which we learned in the Braisa, Yolda Zachar Unikeva. If he had a boy and a girl, Hazachar Noitel Shisha Dinarim, the boy gets 6 gold dinari, which means each gold dinar is 25 of silver. So that means 6 times 25 is 150. So the boy gets 150. Vanekeva Neitela Shnei Dinarim, and the girl gets 50. What's the case where the boy is going to get 150 and the girl is going to get 50? B'mai, what's the case? Amar Rav Ashi, Amrisa l'shmaitze kamed Rav Kahana. I said this over to Rav Kahana, and he said b'misares, where he did it in the other order. The Amar Zachar Tchila, where he gave order. It depends on the order. The Amar Zachar Tchila Masayim. If the boy is first, it gets 200. Nekeva Achrav, a girl afterwards, v'loiklum. So if the boy came first, it would be 200, and the girl afterwards gets nothing. Nekeva tchila, if the girl comes first, so then you have the raya of, then you have the benefit of bat tchila simin yafel abanim. If the girl comes first, mana, it gets 100. Zachar acharea, and the boy afterwards also gets a mana. So again, let's review that. If the boy comes first, then the boy gets 200, the girl afterwards gets nothing. If the girl comes first, the girl gets 100, and then the boy afterwards gets 100. And what happens is, as you could already figure out, what happens is they gave birth and we don't know the order. In other words, they were twins, and we don't know which one came first. There's confusion in the delivery room. The Yolda Zachar of Nekeva, there was a boy and a girl born. V'lo yadinan heiminayu nafik bereisha. We don't know which one came first. So the boy gets 100 mamanavshach, because if it was first, it would get 200. If it was second, it gets 100. So he gets 100 no matter what. Zachar shakal mana mamanavshach. He gets 100 no matter what, because even if he's born second, he gets 100. Now the other 100, it depends. If the boy was born first, the girl would get nothing. If the girl was born first, he gets 100. So therefore, the second 100, the idach mana, and the second 100 have a maman amutal b'safik. We're not sure because we don't know if the girl was born first or born second. So therefore, v'cholkin, they divide the second 100. So that means that the boy gets 150 and the girl gets 50. V'hadisanya, 2 lines from the bottom of Daf Kuf Mem Aleph Amid Aleph. V'hadisanya, Yolda Zachar and Nekeva, if he has a boy and a girl, Ein loy elamana. There's only 100. So heichi mishkachasla. What's the case? So Ravina says this case is an entirely different case. Here, what happened is Yitzi said that Yitzi's wife was pregnant. And he said that the one who gives me the news, not the child, the one who gives me the news should get 100. So, Amar Ravina b'mavasreini. It's talking about, he says, the one who announced it to me, the one who gave me the good news, the Tanya, Hamavasreini, the one who gives me the good news, Bamen niftar rachma shel ishti, in what the womb of my wife was freed with, in other words, what came out of her womb. Im zachar, if it's a boy, yital mana, he should get 100. So yolda zachar, noital mana. Im nekeva mana, if it's a nekeva, also 100. Im nekeva mana, if he said if it's a girl, a mana, yolda nekeva noital mana. Now yolda zachar nekeva, if it had a boy and a girl, ein loy elamana. So the Gemara says, why? If he said it's a boy, it should be a mana. If it's a girl, it should be a mana. If it's twins, maybe it shouldn't get anything. Because if it's twins, maybe it's too much for them. Maybe he doesn't want his wife to have such pain. V'azachar nekeva loy amar. Says the Gemara, you're right. He said 3 things. He said if it's a boy, the announcer should get 100. If it's a girl, the announcer should get 100. If it's twins, the announcer should get 100. The Nami, im zachar keva nami yitomana. So the Gemara says, so then what's he coming to exclude? The Gemara doesn't answer here triplets. The Gemara says it excludes if it's a miscarriage, Rahman al-Islam. Elamute mai, lemute nefel. It excludes a miscarriage. Now, a person that says to his wife, Nichse lahai de mabarta. My estate should go to the one that you're pregnant with. Now, maybe it's a maziniko. He says, I want everything to go to the one that you're pregnant with. Says the Gemara, Amar Rav Huna have a mazakel over. that's transferring something to a fetus, and since a fetus is not yet ba'olam, it's loy bal ba'olam, you can't do that. V'amazaka lu'uber, and if you try to... V'amazaka lu'uber, and if you try to transfer something to a fetus, loikon. So the Gemara says, well, but isn't that our case in our Mishnah? If the husband says, if my wife has a boy, the boy should get 100, Yolda Zachar Naitamana. If it's a boy, he gets the 100. So you see that you could be Mazakat to an Uber. Amalei Mishnah Seinu Eini Yoida Mishana. I don't know who teaches the law in the Mishnah. That law in the Mishnah is very mysterious, because you can't give something to a fetus. A fetus is not ba'olam. Says the Gemara, V'leima le Rebbe Meir. Why don't you say it's going according to Rebbe Meir? Rebbe Meir says that I could sell to Shimon the fruit of a tree, even if the tree didn't bear fruit yet. So it says that you could be makna davar shaloi b'laylam. Says the Gemara, V'leima le Rebbe Meir, da'amar adam makna davar shaloi b'laylam. You could transfer something that was not yet in the world. So the Gemara says you're comparing apples and oranges. Rameya says you could transfer something that's not yet in the world, but he doesn't say you could transfer it to someone that's not in the world. That you could transfer the fruit in the tree that didn't grow yet to somebody that's in the world. But to somebody that's not yet in the world, a fetus, mishamas, says the Gemara, let's say that it's Rabbi Yosi. Da'amar uber kani. Rabbi Yosi holds that a fetus acquires. Now, how do we know that a fetus acquires? According to Rabbi Yosi. Now, this is a very interesting Gemara. If a kohen, his wife is pregnant, and the husband died. Now the wife has 5 kids. So they're all Kohanim. So the wife eats Truma because of the kids. And the Avodim eat Truma because of the kids are Kohanim. If she's pregnant, then the Avodim can't eat Truma. Why? Because the Uber has a chelik in the Avodim. Because Rabbi Yosi holds that an Uber can acquire. So the Uber has a portion of the Avodim. But an Uber is not a kohen until it's born. So therefore, part of the Avodim are owned by a non-kohen. An Uber is not a kohen until it's born.
He shouldn't be a person.
Huh?
He shouldn't be a person if he's not a kohen.
No, he is a person. But he only gets the status of a kohen when he's born. He's a person. But he's only a kohen, he's only connected to the mishpacha of his father when he's born. And therefore he inherits, but because he has a chelik as a non-kohen, the avodim can't eat. And the Tanan uber paisel, he disqualifies. On the other hand, let's say she was a Bas Yisrael that was married to a kohen. Her kohen husband died. Now she's normally allowed to eat if she has a child from her husband, because that child is a kohen and allows her to eat. But if she's pregnant, the child is not yet a kohen. So therefore, ve'eino machel doesn't allow the mother to eat truma. Divrei Rabbi Yosi. So you see, the Rabbi Yosi holds that an uber is kohen. Says, that's different. That's automatic. That's Yerusha. Yerusha is automatic. That doesn't mean that we could transfer it to. Shana Yerusha haba me'aleha. Says the Gemara V'leima Rabbi Yochanan ben Broika. Let's say it's Rabbi Yochanan ben Broika. Remember, Rabbi Yochanan ben Broika holds that you could give to one child amongst many childs. As we say that you could give, if you have 5 sons, you could give everything to one son. V'leimer Rabbi Yochanan ben Reiki da'amar leishna Yerusha v'leishna matana. It makes no difference if he says Yerusha or gift. The din is that you could give to one son amongst the sons. So here he could say if the child is born, it should get 100. So the Gemara says, yeah. If he says on somebody that's right to inherit Dvar of Kayamim, so the Gemara says, yeah, but that doesn't mean that he's talking about where it's a fetus. Maybe it's talking only about where the children are around. To somebody that's in the world. Mi Amar. Says the Gemara, it's going according to Rabbi Yochanan and Bramraika, and he holds like Rabbi Yosi that the Uber is kaina. So if the Uber is kaina, it's the same as if the son is in the world. So the Gemara says, Mi Yemer de Savala, who says that he holds like Rabbi Yosi. And furthermore, says the Gemara, why don't we say that our Mishnah is not talking, not furthermore, but why don't we say that our Mishnah is not talking about where he said that if I have a boy, the baby should get the $100, because that we said is problematic. You can't give it to somebody that's Shloi Ba'olam. Maybe our Mishnah is talking about, again, the Mavasreini, the one that gives the news. V'lei malei b'mavasreini. Let's say the Mishnah is talking about that he's giving the money to the one who gives the news. Says the Gemara, Ihachi de Ketani Seifa. It says at the end of the Mishnah, V'im ein sham yoirish elahu. If there's only one yoirish hakol, he inherits everything. But if it's talking about the one that gives the news, then what do you mean he inherits everything? The one who gives the news isn't the heir. Iba mavasreini yoirish ma'avidite. What are you talking about a yoirish? Says the Gemara, well, maybe we could learn the Mishnah means that I'm giving 100 when the child is born. In other words, if it's a zachar, then I'm granting it when the child is born. V'lei malei, he meant b'sheyolda. Says the Gemara, that doesn't fit with the end of the Mishnah. Ihachi diktani seifa. V'im amar kol masha teled ishti. Whatever my wife has, yitol it should get. Harry's in kol masha teled ishti yitol. Harry's a yitol, whether it's a boy, whether it's a girl. So according to you, that it means when it's born. Kol sheteled, it shouldn't say when it's born. Kol sheyolda miboile, when it will be born. In other words, after it comes into the world. So we're stymied still to explain the case of our Mishnah. I'm going to stop over here. Of course, Marshall always has his nightly commentary, because he has a different way of doing things. So when you need it, you could always call him 1-800-MARSHALL. The Marshall B, the B stands for bourbon. We did the Mishnah Yomis already because now we're going to have the Chumash here.